Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I want to start things off by asking you a really simple question. What does it actually take to win an election? I mean, we watch campaigns unfold on our screens every single day, right? But behind all the grand speeches and the endless handshaking, is there some kind of secret strategy manual? Well, today we're going to crack open exactly that. It's easy to think that winning an election is just about being a fundamentally good person, or maybe having the very best policies, or even just being the smartest person in the room. But as we'll see today, it's not really about just being good. It's about managing people, managing impressions, and managing relationships, and doing it all incredibly smartly. And honestly, the wildest part, the ultimate step-by-step guide for doing this was written over 2 millennia ago by a guy who completely mastered the game. So let's dive right into this fascinating document. It's called the Commentariolum Petitionis. In simple terms, that translates to the Little Handbook on Election Campaigning. It was written way back in ancient Rome by a man named Quintus Tullius Cicero. His main goal? He wanted to help his brother, Marcus, score one of the absolute highest political jobs in Rome, the role of consul. We're going to break down his ancient strategies step by step, because honestly, this thing reads exactly like a modern how-to guide for winning a political race. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover the ancient playbook itself, why you need to be everywhere and know everyone, the strategy of selling hope instead of facts, how to attack your rivals smartly, and finally, we'll see how these ancient tactics stack up against modern politics. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Be everywhere, know everyone. This is all about mastering the crowd. Quintus laid out 3 pretty ruthless steps for building your network. Step 1. You have to talk to absolutely everyone. We're talking the rich, the poor, the powerful leaders, and the everyday common citizens. Step 2, you have to make every single one of them feel like they are your close personal friends. Quintus makes it incredibly clear that you cannot just rely on your actual genuine friends. That's just not enough to win. And step 3, which is definitely a bit cutthroat, you have to use even the people you actively dislike. In a campaign, everybody has a use. It basically boils down to raw, simple math. More connections equal more votes. It really doesn't get any simpler than that. Every single handshake is a potential ballot in your favor. So how do you actually build all those connections? Well, the playbook says you must be relentlessly approachable. You need to smile constantly, remember people's names, and be unfailingly polite. And here's the kicker. You have to do all of this even if you can't stand the person standing right in front of you. Why? Because the simple truth of the matter is that people vote for whoever makes them feel important. If you have to fake your friendliness to make someone feel special, the playbook says you just do it. But hey, being friendly doesn't mean much if nobody actually sees you, right? The manual dictates that you must stay visible everywhere. You need to be seen constantly, in the public squares, at the markets, and in your daily meetings. If people see you all the time, they'll actually remember you when it's time to cast their ballot. Out of sight means out of mind, and out of mind means you lose. All right, moving on to section 2, sell hope, not facts. Let's talk about crafting the message. Let's look at the actual messaging strategy here. Quintus advises his brother to be the ultimate crowd pleaser. Promise help. Agree with whatever the crowd happens to be saying that day. Support their specific individual needs. And here is the deeply cynical part of his advice. Make promises even if you are not 100% sure you can actually deliver on them. Essentially, you just want to say yes to whoever is standing in front of you. Which leads us to a massive psychological insight from the manual. It says right here, people vote based on hope, not facts. This ancient Roman playbook basically invented the modern campaign promise. It's not about the cold hard reality of what can actually be achieved. It's entirely about giving people a vision of hope that makes them want to get behind you. To pull this off effectively, the playbook argues that a politician has to be totally flexible, like a chameleon. You don't act the same way with everyone. You actually change your mask and adjust your behavior entirely depending on your audience. If you're talking with soldiers, you talk about strength and honor. But if you're walking down the street chatting with the poor, you shift gears completely and talk about help, support, and compassion. You always adjust the message to fit that specific listener's hopes. Which brings us to section 3, attack your rivals smartly. This is all about offense and defense. Okay, so before you go on the offensive, you need an impenetrable defense. The playbook says you absolutely must build a strong reputation first. You need to show yourself as honest, you need to project pure capability and strength, you have to constantly highlight your achievements to the public. Building this solid, capable reputation is the shield you need before you even think about launching attacks of your own.
And that leads right into the playbook's simplest, yet probably its most cynical rule. Perception is greater than reality. In politics, your image matters significantly more than the actual truth. Looking honest and projecting strength is way more important for winning an election than actually being a perfectly honest person.
Once your shield is up, then you go on the attack. But you don't just throw mud wildly. There's a precise method to it. Step 1, point out your rival's weaknesses. Step 2, constantly remind the voters about your opponent's past mistakes. But step 3 is the absolute most critical. You must do it carefully to avoid looking bad yourself. You want to completely tear down your opponent without splashing any of that mud onto your own perfectly crafted, pristine image. And now for our final section, Ancient Tactics, Modern Politics. Let's get to the cynical climax.
Here is the ultimate, incredibly practical truth of the manual. Focus on winning, not perfection. Quintus tells his brother straight up that politics isn't some noble, high-minded quest for the absolute truth. It is a strategic game, and the entire point of the game is simply to win the election. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be strategic.
And why does that strategy work so well? Because, as the playbook bluntly points out, emotions matter way more than logic in elections. It's a very realistic, maybe slightly dark look at human nature. Image and persuasion are just incredibly powerful tools. Winning over someone's heart is almost always going to beat handing them a list of cold, hard facts and logical arguments. This ancient text is just mind-blowing to read today because every single one of these ancient tactics maps perfectly to exactly what we see on the news every single night. Building networks in ancient Rome? Today, we call that LinkedIn and high-dollar fundraisers. Constant campaigning in the public square? That's our modern televised political rallies. Making huge promises to different groups? Those are today's stump speeches and debate points. And managing your public image so you look honest and strong? That is the exact same thing as a carefully curated social media feed and staged photo ops. So let's do a quick recap of the playbook's core teachings. It's basically a complete, simple, and completely timeless package for political domination. Make everyone feel important, build strong relationships, be visible everywhere, say exactly what people want to hear, promote yourself while smartly weakening your opponents, and above all else, focus strategically and strictly on just getting the win. Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Looking at this 2,000-year-old manual written by Quintus for his brother, have our politics actually evolved at all in 2 millennia? Or have we just invented better, faster technology to execute the exact same cynical, emotionally driven playbook? It really makes you wonder about human nature, doesn't it? And about the true mechanics running behind every modern democracy. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.